láyé olúgbọ́n mo ké borùn méje ẹ ò máa kọ̀ yí lórin láyé àrẹ̀sà mo ké borùn mẹ́fà ẹ ò máa kọ̀ yí lórin láyé ìsẹ̀yìn èmi ra kókò mo ra rán mo ra sányán bàbá sọ àfọ̀lẹ́ ló lè pélé.
Hello everyone, my name is Adeyemo Adegbemiga Ganiu and I welcome you all to my new Yoruba Abrahamic YouTube video. Today I want to touch about the ugliness of monogamy marriages which people now commonly practice today, and many of the things they don't tell you in breakdown and many illustrations, and how that monogamy marriage of man and woman union has negatively influenced what is happening today at a large scale. But before we dive into it, let's take it from the word for better, for worse, until death do us apart. This is a common slogan that always been ushered by two couples, especially when they are leading themselves to altar in the Christian doctrine. And we need to understand that these are actually Western innovations or inventions, which absolutely has no tie with any religious belief or even have a significant root to faith. Don't get it twisted or don't misquote me. I am not in any way saying that monogamy practice of marriage is actually bad or is even an evil thing to do. But the reality is that the origination of these practices are very political, and it does more harm to the humanity at large of the society than the good it brings to us. Let's start by exploring what Ifa traditional teachings of the Yoruba people said, which is better known as the Oracle of God, the message of the Oracle of God in the Abrahamic text. What these teachings of Ifa relatively said concerning marriage in totality. Basically, Ifa Oracle of Eledumare or the Almighty didn't give a specific details on how to marry, because we understand that many circumstances could have led to marriage by default in real life, but it does touch on so many vital things that encompasses much of what will better your future after marriage. You can see a reference to Orosun Ogbe Irete and Iwori Ogunda in some of the Ifa chapters, where he summarized in details, actually encourage people, especially new couple who are intending to get married, to make their duly findings very well, to search for their spiritual compatibility, whoever they want to settle down with, knowing fully well that our differences differ in terms of the spiritual realm which human beings were being created. You understand what from the European aspect, Aries, all these things, but in Yoruba aspect, omo yepe kolefe omo no, stuff like that. You have to have a compatible. Some are created from the fury or from the fury of light. That will actually reflect their character. An aggressive nature person, you can actually marry another aggressive partner. The house will be intolerant for both of you, so one of the couple have to be calm while the other have to be very harsh, so that it will create balance in marriages. So these are one of the things that this Ifa basically encourage people who want to go into marriage to make findings about. Another thing the Ifa also teaches us randomly is for us to know the actual deserved rights that need to be done, rituals, because we as we human beings, to be precise, generally we are not of the same people. Like the mother of Yeshua, which people commonly reference to as Mary, the name was taken from Mary. Mary is just a general name of some special beings that live among humans, but they are divine. So among the likewise in that case, there are other Emirs too in Yoruba land and across the world, whereby they themselves don't even know the power they possesses within themselves. This kind of people always have a tie with an unseen entity that live in another realm beyond the life that we know of today. So if a random man who basically is not fortified get involved with a marriage with some kind of a woman, the people of the invisible world will be tormenting their man. So the Ifa generally is basically telling us that there are some things to be done before getting engaged in marriages. And in other words, this also encourages us. Ifa is like saying you guys should safeguard your future from an unexpected for unacceptable arising problem that may tend to come, and that will preserve both parties from even walking into a disastrous union. Because the fact doesn't really give us the details of polygamy or monogamy, this also led to why the Abrahamic text too doesn't even have a straight answer towards monogamy or polygamy. But something was certain in the Abrahamic books also from A to Z. There is still no verse or no place in the entire Bible from Genesis to Exodus or from A to beginning where they actually said polygamy is a sin. It is people of the modern time that came about the idea of making polygamy a disastrous thing to do, an unhealthy thing to do. There is nowhere in the Bible or in the Quran where they say polygamy is a sin, or where the Almighty made it a law that monogamy is what He sees as a perfect, the right union to do. And even aside the fact that all Abrahamic prophets were directly or indirectly into multiple wives marriages in their respective lifetime, being the Yoruba Orisha or Olorisha or Olorisha Enitia Shalesha, the prophet in general across Yoruba land, that the system structure of polygamy has always been a way to preserve the economy or to preserve the value of an upright economy in terms of modesty. You will understand what I mean. And you can also see such in references in Exodus 20 verse 21 from 7 to 11, when Omishore, who is popularly known as Moshere or Moshe, and Moses from the westerner view of him, where he actually because Moses have 613 laws that said things about a lot of things, and polygamy was never part of it. Instead, Moses even gave guide about how to maintain a good relationship between women in a polygamous marriage. He stated and even uses the idea of a slave girl, that as lower as a wife may be, maybe you buy her as a slave. Once she has become a partner to you as a second wife, a man must make sure he takes good care of them equally. So the Bible was basically even telling us how to maintain a good, righteous way in a polygamous marriage. So there is no way in the entire Bible where they said polygamy is a sin, or neither were there a place where God said if you must go into one man, one woman marriage. I hope you get it. So, this is why the same Moses Omishore was also the same person which the Almighty Father instructed that should the case those man and woman who have multiple wives or single wife, when the man actually feel that he is unsafe around the woman or thinks that the woman is actually adulterating or doing some sort of funny thing, but the man is not sure, the man should embark on the spiritual findings which the headquarters is in Yoruba land today, which is Omiayelala. Go and meet a Babalawo. The Almighty was instructing Moses, go and meet a Babalawo. Tell the Oya Sheriola, the Yoruba people, that should in case a man from their community is feeling that his woman is actually unfaithful to him, he should not be afraid. He should go and meet a Babalawo that is in charge of Ayelala, and he should take the woman to the priest quarter. Yeah, these are because Ayelala is in Yoruba land, and this also justify that all these prophets were actually Yoruba or Lorisha, and they were into traditional. They have nothing to do everything we coin them around within today's religion. So in other words, polygamy was not in any way a sin, and it was more encouraged in the lifetime of all the prophets until the Europeans said no, monogamy is the way. And for many Christians who might actually insist that it's actually not a good thing, that a practice of polygamy as a Christian is a bad thing and is a transgression to the law of the Almighty, we need to go into 1 John 3 verse 4, where it is stated in your own biblical verses that what we know as a sin or even transgression is actually when you are breaking a given law of the Almighty. I hope you say it is when you transgress or you do what the Almighty told you not to do. That is when you can say this person has sinned. So in the entire Bible, the Almighty never said polygamy is a sin. So who gave you people the right to be saying a Christian man who have multiple wives isn't a Christian anymore? He has done, because he doesn't go by the way of from till the death do us apart. So people just make up all this story. That is where I'm going to. So polygamy, the only thing we can reference to in the terms of the laws that the Almighty gave, it had to do with adultery. And when it comes to adultery, it actually means a married woman having an intersexual relationship with another married couple. That is what they refer to as adultery. But when it comes to polygamy, if you like, you can marry 50, in as much you can give birth to a child you can take care of. This is why polygamy really doesn't have a gagging thing, because there are different circumstances that always lead the man to a polygamy, and which a man must actually follow if you really want to live long on earth, because our women are very funny. Sometimes a woman will start as a good woman, all of a sudden she will start misbehaving or acting as if I'm the owner of the house. But when she starts seeing competition, she won't want to lose it anymore. She will start adjusting. So there are different reasons why a man should go into polygamy, should in case his one and woman marriage is not working well for him. This is why I'm saying monogamy or polygamy is not a sin. But if you practice polygamy, you are still on the right track. That is exactly what I'm saying. I hope you are getting it. And for the Muslim, we may actually still brag that yes, we know what we are doing. We have known all along that polygamy is the right way. Don't excuse them from their claims, because the kind of polygamy they are also practicing are not the exact polygamy way of life. They've exploited that polygamy system of the African people and has coined it around the Persian ancient traditions of the Babylonians, which their own view of polygamy is to enslave the woman. Polygamy in the Arab world is to enslave woman, exclude woman from every vital functions of the community, make them not to see the light of the day anymore, and look for a random verses of the Quran which does not really entertain them, because the verses of the Quran only said those which the Almighty ordained to cover up their eyes were made to do so in a war scene. There is a war going on. The Almighty now say, okay, the woman and the female, they can't really fight for themselves. Cover them with a black veil so that they can escape. So many Muslims will just pick that verse and start putting an overall black veil without considering the incident that actually happened. The Almighty told them to do that because of what that was happening at that very moment. He never said you should customize it or make it a permanent way of dressing. So these Persian people that create the modern day Islam, they actually exploited that polygamy way of marriages of the African, then coined all their evil traditions around it to make it completely go out of line. The underage marriaging. Is it the same Almighty? So everybody is just taking advantage of one verses of the Quran or the Bible and making their own game out of it. In generality, modern day Christians politically condemn polygamy as act of marriage in order to replace it with the ideal traditions or adversary traditions of the Westerners. Likewise, in the case of the Muslim too, they also admitted that the practices of polygamy is right, but only for them to actually exploit certain sentences or contexts of the Bible in order to strengthen their own unhealthy traditional pagan attitude acts too in their Talmud practices. And to set the record straight, Africans need to go back to the very monogamy way of marriage which their ancestors practiced in the ancient time. And there is a reason why all the monogamy one and woman marriages we indulge in today are non-Abrahamic. You need to understand that there is a reason for it. Let me start from the scratch so you will understand where the origination of this thing or the likely origination of it come from. The first set of the Europeans, who are better known as the Caucasians by default, to ever receive education in the entire universe were the Greeks. I hope you are getting it. And these Greeks, they came to Africa to learn everything they know today as knowledge. They brought those knowledge to the Western world, while spreading those knowledge among their fellow Caucasian nations across Europe and Asia. I hope you are following me. So the fact that the Greeks were actually the first founder of education and everything like philosophy across Europe, not from Africa, because we Africans were the one who taught the Greeks. So the Greek people, their icons now became the renowned scholars, which the entire European or Caucasian people now reference to as the father of this, father of that, father of maths, because they were the one who brought civilization to the entire European nation. Because after they lost it, the Roman picked this civilization. But the fact still remains that they were the founders of the entire European civilization and cross abroad. So what this now signifies is that everything the European people now doing today, or now cultivating as practices or doctrine, are directly or indirectly could be traced back to the Greek philosopher, which they look up to as the founder of what they know. I hope you get it. So this is basically saying that the idea of monogamy, polygamy came from the Greek. Like let me start. The name monogamy itself, one man, one woman in marriage union, is a name that was derived from the Greek words. Monos means one. Gamos means marriage. They founded the word. And the first person to ever reference to such act was Plato, a Greek philosopher who personally believed in his own state of mind that only one man and one woman are the best way to form a marriage, to form a family. In his own book, he said it. The book is called The Law. I think it was published around 350 BCE. Plato himself despised marriage. That is something they don't tell you. And throughout the life of Plato, he was never married. Neither did he have a child. And people before Plato and after Plato across Europe, all of them were either biracials, bisexual people. They sleep with men and women at the same time, or lesbians. They don't care about family, or even homosex. These are their personal way of life. So they never had the value of it. They never know what it's worth to have a value of a human, to have a value of, to understand the value of a family, to make up a family. And most of them that even have one, that even decided to even go into marriage, and then they only did it to have an heir to succeed them in their various kingdoms. So in a nutshell, the whole idea of polygamy came from those who have no idea of what marriage stands for. They don't understand the value of marriage, which is why they either have one or two children, or even don't care if they don't have any children. This is why their population kept shrinking. They have no knowledge about the value of a marriage. So they came about the idea of one man, one woman. This is why till today they still promote the idea of not having marriage, the separation of man and woman, the woman feminism, stuff like that, things that would discourage men from even having a family. It is a tradition that started from, it is a philosophy that started from Plato, and it started from the Greek, which were the founding father of European philosophy of life, the establishment of Western philosophy of life, likewise other philosophers as well. I hope I'm making it sense. So likewise, like the case of Alexander the Great, the son of Macedonia, a son of King Philip II, he himself was actually a man-to-man thing. He doesn't fancy marriage, though he later had a son who had him. Likewise, the Emperor Ahin of An in 7 BC, he had no children. Caliph Al-Hakan II of Cordoba, which is in Spain, he died in age 61, and so many on and so forth. So these people have no value for they have no respect for marriage, because their way of life is anti-married thing. So this is why they are the one who continue to promote the idea of one man, one woman. In some cases, they said they are trying to depopulate the world. They don't have the idea of where the Bible even said, "Emma bimo, Emma receive." Make children, populate the earth, and make better use of your life. So that is where I can actually say the idea of man and woman origination came from. It's never from, if there is any pastor who actually believe is a word of God, they should tell us where it is in the Bible, so, or in the Quran. Therefore, the nature of these people contradict the heavens ordained view of marriage. These views towards marriage is very political and does not synchronize with the divinity or normality of what a human is supposed to do. Therefore, for this kind of people to push the agenda of monogamy marriage, since the call isn't Abrahamically certain, neither was it from Africa, there is a reason behind it. This is why, let me give a very good, better explanation. The effect of monogamy marriage, so you will understand how bad the world has gone and how bad the world will still continue to go if Africans don't stop this nonsense we borrow from their culture. Stat has always shown from years, not just today, that population of women to a man is like 4-1, because the Almighty actually expects the men to engage in multi-wife marriage. So let's now, today they've normed us to actually believe that a man is for a woman. The question now is, who will marry the extra surplus 3 that will be roaming around the street or the society? Because three things is bound to happen with the surplus 3 that you have failed to put into your home as a man. Number one, they are the one the Bible is saying they will put asunder to your union. Because the man himself in that marriage will never rest. He will never rest. The woman will be looking for loopholes to either kick out the married woman, the home wife, so that they can replace her. Everyone wants to have a place to call his home. Number 2, among these women, some of them may not even be interested to eventually be a full housewife, but they will become baby mamas. Being a baby mamas, you actually produce child out of wedlocks, a child without father caring. This child are likely to become hooligans on the street, to even cause more havoc, to even become a nuisance, and they will become a problem for the society in the long future. Some women will never even get married at all, because they even have no chance to be getting married, and what they will eventually become are prostitute. They will start prostitution, and even all your for better forward man in a marriage will be patronizing them, because the man desire is endless. So all of these things, at the end of the day, a man who is into a better for worse marriage of one man, one woman, will never escape a sexual attraction outside his matrimonial home. That is for a fact. Because for real, there will always be some of the surplus women in the community who are desperately looking for a man to call theirs, and are never willing and will ever be willing to push the housewife out of her matrimonial home so that they can go in and replace her. As for the men, the popular demand, he may continue to say that he is 100% loyal or committed to his for better forward Western marriage, which he hold on to. But believe me, 99.9% of these men will barely be able to resist all the unending temptations of from the surplus societal women, which they will continue to experience day by day. You can barely look right, left, and center without not seeing a woman who is attractive to you. So the man just put themselves in an unnecessary bondage, all in the name of for better, for worse. Like I said again, don't get me wrong, it is not a compulsory thing for you to go into polygamy marriage. But our body is not the same. Some men naturally without drug, their body, they can't do without sex for long. While some men can hold on even for a year without sex. I don't know why they ever created like that. So all of us are not the same. These are the kind of men that will never escape the attractions of the public surplus women, and all of these are what will destroy the entire economy or the. As a matter of fact, 98% of marriages which you see today are based on couples' interest, are based on satisfactory of parents. Let me just their opinion is always like, let me just register it, let it be known today that I'm also married. It's not about remaining in the marriage, because once there is always a problem, it's very easier for them to depart, and not for even divinity's sake. And most of these marriages, no one wants to put his or her family in marriages. Couple and women don't always want to put all their all into marriage anymore, because they now know that marriage today is a contract. Is a contract. Check out many divorces. Women are after the wealth of the husband. The husband himself don't even trust the woman. This is why you are saying, you are saying bastard child who are being raised in a matrimonial home. Things are happening. It's because we've abandoned the usual way we're supposed to go before marriage. And even in marriages, we've also conditioned ourselves, lock ourselves up, and throw the key away that this we want to suffer till the rest of our life. I mean, I'm talking about the man. As you can see today, abnormalities of sexual attractions became a rampant thing today, and it didn't just start overnight. It did continue to advance from one chaotic stage to another abominative level, and the only solution to put a stop to all this lustful desire culture is to get all the surplus women of the society engaged. If we want to get back the world back to the real state of mind, all the surplus women in the society, they have to be into one marriage or the other. I'm telling you the truth. They need to be attached to a man who will give them reasons to be mindful of their body, reasons why the woman should be cautious of their value, reasons why the woman should be respected, reasons why the woman should be a better woman than what they are. So all women need an umbrella of a man to call their own. It doesn't matter, maybe you are the second wife, third wife. You need a man to bear his name. You need a man which you can run to as a companion. You need a man which you can always discuss matter with, which we feel like a responsible father upon the child he had. It's not until both of you are living under the same roof every single day. I hope you are getting it. This is what we need. As a matter of fact, we need to start sensitizing. The women need to start calling themselves to another. Start sensitizing themselves, telling themselves that polygamous marriage is not a sin. It's not a bad thing. It's actually for their own good. So this is very deep. If we don't go back to polygamy way of life, the ratio, the separation, the distance between the population of women and man will only continue to go far, and at some point man themselves will never want to marry, because they will see a woman as a surplus option, and which they, in fact, man will now start beginning to feel that marriage is like a prison to them, because they want to taste that one, they want to taste this when it actually costs nothing. So they will be ready to even sleep with different girls and not one girl to have them hooked, until we start telling ourselves that polygamy is actually a very good thing to safeguard our life. So why did I say the Europeans were actually the founder of all this messed up one-on-one marriage? Likewise, I will also revert back to the very Surah Al-Baqarah, which I always recite, because the verses of that Quran hold so many things we don't pay attention to. In that same verse, it said the Satan learned things that will separate men from a woman when a Jeharut and Marut came down. Who are the Satans? They are the Europeans, the Pildarab, based on what the Bible and the Quran describe them of. Like it is said in Revelation, synagogue of Satans, collective nation, European nations of Satans, who are claiming to be Jews, because they are the white one claiming to be Jews today, when they are not, because the original Jew are black people. Jews are all over Europe. They are the one the Bible is referring as synagogue, nations, lineage of Satans. The is Koruju rara. So I'm not the one saying it, the Bible, and likewise the Pale Arab too, who are also the Arab Jews or stuff like that. They are the one the Bible is referring as synagogue of Satan. So when the Quran is saying the synagogue of Satans, they were learning evil thoughts from the angels, things that will separate man from a woman. What are the things that will separate man from a woman? Pornography. You know where it came from? It's from them. Sexual pornography, homosexualism, bisexualism, things that will discourage the community, the society from even engaging into marriage. These are what the Quran is referring to. So I'm not here to point figure. I'm just giving a likely solution to how humanity can revert back their sanity and how women can. Because if the women are the bread owner of this world, if the women don't get it right, everything on the earth will always turn sour. So the woman have to start telling them that polygamy is actually a good thing. It is the way of our ancestor. You have to accept your fate. What should be the most important thing to a woman is to have a good job. Have a good job. When you have children with a man, take care of your children, take care of your husband, but make sure that your children is your priority. And you must learn to respect. So these are what we give back, what we own in the ancient time, not this man and woman marriage. If you know you can go with a monogamy type of marriage, best of luck to you. I'm just saying this for those who are forcing them, who are in a marriage bondage and don't seem to understand that there is actually an alternative way. I will see you in my next video. This is my own personal opinion in a breakdown illustration. Let me press the like button, share it. I will see you later. Thank you and bye for now.